Rolls-Royce just did something no one saw coming, and it's going to change everything we thought we knew about luxury EVs in Britain. For years, we've watched every car manufacturer scramble into electric. Tesla dominates the headlines with Elon's constant announcements and viral moments. BMW's gone full electric across their range. Audi's pushing hard. Mercedes launched their EQS flagship. Even the supercars, Lamborghini, Ferrari, Porsche, they're all going battery. But Rolls-Royce? They've been quiet. Too quiet. Almost as if they were waiting for the right moment, the perfect time to strike. Until now. The announcement isn't what you'd expect from a company that's been making cars since 1906. It's not about specs or horsepower or charging times, the usual EV talking points that dominate every YouTube video and tech review and automotive podcast. It's something that cuts straight to the heart of what Rolls-Royce actually is. Something deeper. And that's precisely why it's so shocking to the entire industry right now. See, Rolls-Royce has always been about one thing, fundamentally. Absolute silence. Not just quiet engines. Silent. The kind of silence you only get when unlimited money removes every possible disturbance, every vibration, every unwanted noise from your driving experience. The old V12s, those legendary engines that defined an era, they were engineered to be nearly inaudible. That was the entire point. That was the luxury. You could have a full conversation at motorway speeds without raising your voice. You could hear the subtle sound of the air conditioning, the faint hum of the electrical systems. But the engine? Nearly invisible acoustically. That was the benchmark. That was what separated Rolls-Royce from every other manufacturer. Think about it. When you're in most cars, even expensive ones, you hear the engine working. You feel it. The vibrations come through the steering wheel, through the pedals, through your seat. Your brain is constantly aware that there's a massive mechanical process happening underneath. But in a Rolls-Royce, your brain can forget about the engine entirely. It can focus on the conversation, the journey, the experience of being driven, not the machinery doing the driving. So when they went electric, the entire automotive industry assumed it'd be straightforward. Electric motors are silent anyway, right? No combustion, no explosions, no mechanical theatrics that need to be dampened and controlled. Job done. Problem solved. Move on to the next challenge. The EV transition would make it even easier for Rolls-Royce because they were already obsessed with silence. But Rolls-Royce saw something everyone else completely missed. They realized that going electric meant losing something their customers have paid extraordinary sums for, generation after generation, for over a century. The theater of it. The anticipation. That subtle, unmistakable rumble when you start the engine. The acoustic signature that told you without any doubt whatsoever that you were in something extraordinary. Something rare. Something that belonged only to a select few. Something that couldn't be replicated. Most manufacturers, they've tackled this problem by adding fake engine sounds through the speakers. Artificial noise. It's tinny. It's unconvincing. It's genuinely embarrassing when you think about it. Pretending your silent electric motor is something it's not. Putting speakers in an electric car to make it sound like a petrol engine is fundamentally admitting defeat. It says, we know you miss the real thing, so here's a simulation. Rolls-Royce refused to go down that path. They refused to compromise with nonsense or pretend. Instead, they've gone completely the opposite direction. Radically opposite. Their new electric models, and this is where it gets genuinely mad, where it becomes revolutionary, are so utterly, completely silent that they've engineered an entirely new sensory experience to replace what the engine used to provide. The car doesn't roar. It doesn't growl. It doesn't pretend. It whispers. Literally whispers through the world. The suspension has been completely retuned so you feel every imperceptible detail of the road without hearing anything. You experience the road surface, the texture, the subtle changes in terrain, but through feel, not sound. The sound deadening is so advanced it's almost unnatural. It's probably the most expensive acoustic engineering ever applied to a production car. The air passing over the body, the subtle frequencies that most cars let slip through. Everything is tuned with surgical precision to create a presence without sound, a feeling without noise. It's like driving through the world with a volume dial turned down to 0, except you're more aware of everything around you, not less. More present, more engaged, more isolated from the chaos of the outside world. But here's the bit that's actually destroying the EV market in the UK right now. They've positioned this not as a compromise, not as making the best of a bad situation, but as the most luxurious thing Rolls-Royce has ever made. Not despite the silence, not as a necessary evil. Because of it. As a feature. As the defining feature. Luxury, they're saying, and this is the key message that's resonating with their customers, isn't about being louder or faster or more aggressive than everything else on the road. It's not about proving anything to anyone. It's not about ego or performance metrics. It's about being so refined, so controlled, so utterly in command of your environment that sound itself becomes completely unnecessary. The rest of the automotive industry has been chasing speed and range and charging times and acceleration figures and efficiency ratings. Rolls-Royce went after something deeper, something money actually can buy if you know where to look. Peace. Genuine peace. The absence of intrusion. And that's a message that's landed incredibly hard with their customers. Because let's be completely honest. If you're buying a Rolls-Royce, you're not worried about charging infrastructure. You're not comparing kWh or kilowatt hours or battery degradation over time or calculating your cost per mile. You're not stressed about finding a charger on a motorway in the middle of nowhere. You're after something money can't usually buy, something that sits above all those practical concerns. Stillness, presence, complete control over your environment, the ability to exist in your own bubble, completely separated from the chaos and noise and stress of the outside world. If you're finding this analysis useful, if you're actually interested in understanding what's really happening behind the headlines in the automotive industry, hit subscribe. We put out new videos every week breaking down what's actually happening, not the surface-level specs and marketing claims, but the real stories behind the moves that matter. The strategy, the psychology, the vision. All right, back to it. The shocking bit? It's working. Orders are genuinely up, not because they promised longer range than a Tesla, or faster acceleration off the line or revolutionary charging speeds that blow the competition away, but because they figured out what luxury actually means in an electric world. And suddenly, every other manufacturer looks like they've been chasing the wrong thing entirely. They've been optimizing for the wrong metrics. Think about it. Every EV company is obsessed with specs. Range, acceleration, top speed, efficiency ratings, battery capacity, charging speed. They're all trying to prove that electric is just as good, no, better, than petrol. Faster, sleeker, more advanced, more sustainable. But Rolls-Royce looked at that entire conversation and said, "No, you're all missing the point completely. You're all chasing the wrong thing." They realize their customers don't care if the car goes from 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds or 4.2 seconds. That difference is meaningless to them. They don't lie awake at night worried about whether they can do 300 miles or 350 miles on a single charge. They don't calculate their fuel efficiency compared to their neighbor's car. They care about the experience, the feeling of being in a Rolls-Royce, the intangible thing that makes it different from a luxury BMW or Mercedes or Bentley or Aston Martin. The thing that justifies the price. And silence. True, engineered, intentional silence. That's something only Rolls-Royce has ever really delivered. Only they have. Electric gave them an opportunity to deliver it at a level that's never been possible before. To perfect it. To make it the central pillar of their entire value proposition. The design of the new electric Rolls-Royce models reflects this philosophy too. They haven't gone for the aggressive, futuristic look that most EV companies pursue. Tesla's angular and tech-forward and deliberately different. Jaguar's going abstract and polarizing and trying to completely reinvent themselves. Rolls-Royce kept the proportions, the grills, the subtle design language that's defined their brand for decades. Because the revolution isn't on the outside. It's hidden. It's in how you feel when you're inside. It's in what you don't hear. The interior is where the real luxury lives now. Materials that absorb sound at the molecular level. Suspension tuning that isolates you from the road rather than connecting you to it. Which sounds counterintuitive, but for Rolls-Royce, isolation is the whole point. Complete separation from the external world. Noise-canceling technology that goes beyond what you'd find in a high-end headphone or aircraft cabin. The entire car is essentially a moving sensory deprivation chamber on wheels, except you're still driving at 70 miles per hour through the real world. You're moving through reality without being disturbed by it, and the market's responding because it's genuinely novel. In an industry where everyone's competing on the same metrics, range versus speed versus efficiency versus charging time, Rolls-Royce is competing on something no one else is even measuring. Quietness, absence, the presence of nothing, the value of negative space. That's the move. That's what's rattled the EV market right now. Rolls-Royce didn't destroy anything with specs or performance figures or cutting-edge battery technology. They destroyed it by completely redefining what people actually want when they're spending that kind of money. They've changed the conversation. The rest of the industry is still measuring acceleration times and comparing kWh capacities and arguing about charging networks and debating which company has the best efficiency rating. Rolls-Royce is selling the absence of sound, the presence of peace, the ability to exist in a bubble where the world can't touch you, where you can't hear it, where it doesn't intrude. It's a brilliant strategy, honestly, because everyone else has already committed to the spec war. They're locked in. They have to keep pushing numbers higher and higher. Every new announcement has to beat the last one. More range, faster charging, better efficiency. They're on a treadmill they can't step off. Rolls-Royce just stepped away from that game entirely and created a completely different game where they're the only player, the only one who understands the rules. What do you reckon? Is that actually genius, or have they completely lost the plot? Is silence really worth that kind of money? Or are they just exploiting luxury psychology to justify a premium? Is Rolls-Royce genuinely revolutionary, or are they just doing what they've always done, selling an experience to people who can afford it? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if this breakdown actually helped you understand what's really happening in the luxury EV space right now, share it with someone who'd actually appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. There's a lot more coming about the moves that are reshaping the entire industry.